They're kind of dark though. There it goes. That's much better. there. There we are. Welcome to my chat. And I can like put it here. Like I'll put it here. Yeah, that kind of helps. It's a little better. Not very comfortable though. There we go. That's better. I'm sorry. I'm getting used to this new camera. It's kind of wonky. So I don't really have any topics tonight, but I think I can see everything. Let's see. Yeah, I can see the screen. So it's really weird because now I have to look at the camera. I decided with everybody getting, there's probably not going to be too many people live tonight. Hey, how are you guys? So we'll just go ahead and do like a open discussion. We'll make tonight that night and give some updates, blah blah blah, all that stuff. I don't know how long we'll stay alive. We'll see. We'll see how much interaction we can get. I mean, there's only 3 of us here, so and I have the animals hovering. Yeah, he'll be up here in a minute. Come on, come on. I know you want to. Come on, come on. There we go. Yeah, I guess we can't have a live without that, right? Get that thing out of my face. He's a bit spoiled. It's Pepper. Yeah, he's a bit spoiled. He's a lot spoiled, actually. Hey, how are you, Thomas? Mega One. I don't want to pet you right now. This isn't petting time. Now he wants to cough. I'm certainly not going to have a hairball on my leg, so that'd be gross. It'd be a quick way to end the live, though. Just saying. Makes me want to cough. So how's everybody doing tonight? When you get that all taken care of, you can come back. It's kind of gross. Now it's saved. A cat hacking up a hairball. It's even worse when he does it at night. He's up by my head. It's like, get out of my bed. So I'm not gonna watch the game. I haven't watched it in years. It's not even hardly worth the effort anymore to me. So, you know. So my comments are over there. So if you see me looking over there, I'm checking out the comments. Pretty sure they're saved live. I used to watch football, like back when I was younger, with my dad. I think he was a Kansas City Chiefs fan. But you know, we lived in Oregon. They didn't have a football team. I didn't really care. I watched baseball. I watched basketball for a while, and when everybody started kneeling, I was out. I'm like, I'm good. So that's just me, though. It's like you're there to play a game, from my perspective. You know, come on, hurry up, come on. I won't throw you down this time as long as you don't start coughing. Come on, dude. You're way too fat for this. He's gotten rather hefty. Yes, I know. There's not enough room on my lap for you, dude. You're that big. You definitely need somebody with a bigger lap. So has anybody been catching any of the Kitchen Combat series? He yeah, he eats well. If I'm not careful, he'll eat the other cat. Kind of already looks like he has. I mean, I know that most fixed cats will get a little hefty, but he takes it to extremes. And he's such a pest. Like he'll he'll just beg all. Ow! Don't bite me. He'll just beg all day and beg and beg and beg and beg and beg. Until I finally get sick of him begging and just give him a little something. But I know. Yeah. But the dog's not in here, so at least we have some room. Don't. So, anybody have any herb questions? Well, there's six of us here. How is all 6 of you? 7, if you count me. So I actually started on time tonight. It's it's a thing on YouTube because it's a different kind of platform than TikTok. On TikTok, I always had the last minute stuff to get ready. Tonight, I had to get that kind of stuff ready too, like trying to go live, and I disabled the camera on my computer, so I couldn't go live without an actual camera for it to recognize. So then I had to quickly set everything up, and it was kind of a mess, dude. I don't want to pet you right now. He he likes these lives because he knows he's gonna get uninterrupted lap time. Something for your arteries. There's a few herbs that work well for arteries. And we're talking like strengthening and toning. Yeah, actually, wait till tomorrow's video. And if you go back to any of my social media, I actually even here, the Kitchen Combat series. I've been specifically doing like stuff from the spice rack because it's easier to get people to recognize that, oh yeah, I have that, in their spice rack, and they go, oh, I didn't know it was good for that. It seems to be easier to catch people that don't know a lot about herbal medicine. So hopefully that'll change here pretty soon. We hope, right? But so arteries, um, the best like overall cardiovascular herb in the world would be hawthorn berry. Hawthorn berry works for the entire cardiovascular system, including strengthening and toning the linings of the blood vessels and arteries and capillaries and all that. Butcher's broom is also supposed to be really good for that, and used in conjunction with horse chestnut. Um, it's been used for like varicose veins, externally, but internally as a tea, it would also help to strengthen. If it were me, I would use it as a blend. I'd do a majority of hawthorn, um, and the butcher's broom, and then the horse chestnut. But yeah, those strengthen your arteries. Those, now if you're looking to clean them, then you're looking at herbs like black pepper and cayenne. That's gonna like scour the internal and get rid of all the gunk that's in there. So fenugreek does that too. It helps to get rid of the garbage that builds up, the compounds that are in fenugreek, and it kind of tastes like maple syrup. It's not so bad. I've had worse for sure. I've definitely had worse. Are cloves good for anything? Cloves are actually they're very useful. They're a pain reliever. They're antibacterial, antimicrobial, so they fight bacteria, viruses. Um, it can be used externally. It can be used internally. In fact, that like when I was younger, my mom would smoke her clove cigarettes. She was trying to quit smoking, and I remember, and I realized at that point I really don't like the smell of clove. And then a little bit later, I realized I really don't like the taste of clove either. I can have it, but it has to be in the right thing. For instance, I'm doing the fermented beets, how to make fermented beets here probably this week, and clove is one of the ingredients. And so, um, fermented, I think it would only be more beneficial. Clove's good for your heart. It's got all sorts of benefits. Quit! Don't you sass me. Turn him into a hat. He's big enough now. He can be. Would you get out of there? What are you doing? So now we covered two. We covered cloves and arteries. Those were quick. What? Don't even try to climb up here, dude. You're too fat. You won't make it. Good thinking of growing a good mess. That's not a bad idea. I mean, if you can, a lot of the spices, oregano, rosemary, thyme, all of them, cilantro, they all have medicinal properties. Cilantro is good at like pulling heavy metals out. Oregano is a good antiviral, good for the immune system, helps clean out the gunk. It's a good lung herb. I mean, your spice cabinet in and of itself would be wildly beneficial. Um, One of the videos I'm going to do in the spice. I don't want to give anything away now, otherwise you won't watch the video. But I have a kitchen combat coming up in regards to some surprising stuff about your spice rack, and but I don't want to give too many things away. And that's the other thing, you have to come up with the right hook to get people interested. So yeah, there's Mitchell. How are you doing? So I know that at some point some patrons are going to pop in, and they're going to come in to watch the live. And I don't know that I'll do a whole hour tonight. I mean, not really feeling it tonight. And next week, I think I want to cover diabetes. It will is what I think I'll do. I'll do herbs for diabetes, different diets for diabetes, some research about diabetes. We'll cover all that. But for Patreon, I'm going to start doing things a bit differently. I do a lot of videos on herbs, right? Medicinal properties of this, the medicinal properties of that, and I do the how-tos here and there: how to make a salve, how to make a lotion, how to make a tincture tea, blah blah blah. But for Patreon, well, I've noticed that I don't really do a lot of videos on how to use the herbs, and the reason why is attention span. Right? Nobody has an attention span. If you don't catch them in the first 8 seconds, you don't catch them. So, and with my content, would you quit? Get out of here. And with my content, it does get kind of suppressed, and I'm not playing over for me. I'm just saying, apparently I picked I picked the wrong topic to start a social media channel on. Um, but I gotta make sure that I'm picking topics that people understand. So, but when it comes to Patreon, those people actually pay me money, right? They pay me $1 or $2 or $3 a month, and so I'll do the videos on here's what the herbs are good for. But if you really want me to break them down and show you how to use them, um, that'll be for paid members, and that goes into a little bit more detail, significantly more work. Would you quit, dude? Stop. And it's more work, and they just seems to be more fair. They're the platforms aren't paying me. I don't really do sponsors. I'm kind of iffy. If I don't really believe in a product, I can't really promote it, right? And if I read the ingredients, I may see it a little bit differently than somebody else does, and I wouldn't feel confident promoting somebody else's stuff if I'm not necessarily sure how well it works. Now, I do know that the Easy Act company has talked to me. We're thinking about doing a collaboration on the Easy Act story, and which sounds really neat. It kind of shows that her legacy is still alive, and we'll talk about the Easy adventure at some point. But but they were talking about sending me some free products, and I'm like, I don't really know. I mean, at this point, I'm fairly healthy, so I don't really need anything per se, other than the herbs that I take on a daily basis. Um, so I mean, yeah, as much as I respect that particular blend, the Easy blend, I don't have any particular use for it at this point. ESSIAC, Easiac. It comes from a nurse, and I'll tell you the real quick story about her. Back in the 20s, 1920s, she was a nurse, and according to what I've read in the past, and this could be just part of the story, one of her friends' wife passed away from breast cancer, and she decided that she was a nurse. She decided that there wasn't enough being done on that front. So she started doing research and to see what she could do about cancer. And she found an Obajan medicine man, a local Native American. He would have been up in Canada, but still, it's a Native American. And he gave her the recipe, but he made her promise, I'll give you this recipe, but you could never sell it to like a pharmaceutical company. So he gave her the recipe, and she experimented with it. And she eventually, over the course of years, um, she operated in like 12 different clinics, and they only let her work on the patients that were in hospice, right? If they were already on the way out, those are the ones that she really got to deal with for the most part. And she had a really high success rate with her blend, right? And it was just 4 herbs. That's it. Just 4 simple herbs that are found locally around here anyway. And she was, 80, 90% success rate on people that were supposed to be on the way out. So, and, pharmaceutical companies tried to buy the recipe, and when she wouldn't sell it, then they tried to discredit her and they drug her through the courts, and, the typical crap that they do when you're not willing to sell them your recipe. And she never did sell it to a company. She did sell it to a company, but on the promise that they would never sell it to a pharmaceutical company, and they would make it available for people still. and then that company ultimately sold it to the company that currently has it, who does the same thing. But they have other products too. But it's the Easy Act company out of Canada, and I don't get any money from them. They're not one of my sponsors or anything like that. But I really respect her legacy, And my thought on it is this: if it didn't work, if there was no basis for it working, um, why was the pharmaceutical company so interested in buying the patent? And when she wouldn't sell the patent, then all of a sudden she was a quack, and all this crap that they were able to come up with. So in regards to that, from my perspective, there was a little bit of some not so good stuff going on with that whole thing as far as the pharmaceutical industry goes. So, but yeah, her legacy is still alive today, and it's an interesting story. I'll be doing a video on it, and I'm not sure how much collaboration we'll do. We haven't really, we're in different countries, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But very interesting story. Yeah, I really like her story. Right. They wouldn't, he said that they would probably destroy it if she did sell it. Yeah, they just hide it away. I mean, auto industry does that. Those people usually end up in a bad way if they don't sell, random heart attack. I mean, it can be bad. Corruption at its finest for sure. But so yeah, so now for paid patrons, they're gonna get more of the breakdown. Like today, I did Mullen because earlier in the week I did the tuberculosis, Mullen tuberculosis. So today on Patreon, I posted the several different ways you can use it, which way works best for what, because it varies. And when people aren't going to stick around for the whole video, why would I waste 5 minutes of my time? Well, it takes more than 5 minutes of my time, but why would I waste that much time to put together a 5 minute video that only 3% are going to bother to watch? So, you know, it kind of sucks. Barbara O'Neill, she's pretty amazing. Um, well, one of the questions was, what do I think of Barbara O'Neill? She's and think about what they try to do to discredit her. I mean, the way I look at it, the more they try to discredit somebody, the more afraid they are of them. Dr. Sebi, and there's no one single approach to natural healing and herbal medicine, right? I like, for instance, I see that Barbara O'Neill prefers a lot of single herbs, right? She just uses single use herbs, whereas I'm more of a fan of using herbal blends of herbs to accomplish the same result. Um, but that's just, I mean, that's more along the lines of like traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. They don't use specific like one herb. They will use a blend of herbs depending on the person and the condition and what you're trying to accomplish. Oh yeah, she got stiffed for sure. Yeah, they drug her through the mud, and she's very knowledgeable. I mean, I would certainly listen to. I do listen to the things she says. And luckily she still has a pretty big audience. At least a lot of people get to see her. So you know and it always works this way. The people that do that kind of stuff are usually so stupid because they try so hard to. It's like the harder you try to discredit somebody, the more other people are gonna be like, wait a second, why are you trying so hard to make them look bad? And then they start doing their own research and like, oh, now I see why you're trying so hard to make her look bad. you know so they think like the instant profit versus the long-term gains, and they make a lot of bad decisions. Big corporations tend to do that a lot. So you get people that sit in offices that don't necessarily understand how it all works, trying to make decisions for everybody who does understand how it all works. We're at four people, one like. I'm thinking about doing some. I don't know. I don't know what I want to grow this year. Something that I could probably do a video on. The problem is, I don't have. I may be an herbalist, but I'm not really good with growing things. I forget to water them. Or well, thank you, Denise. What's my opinion on it? I think it's iridology. Talk about radiation, using radiation therapy, Udell. kind of hard with a lag in the comments. So if there's a pause, it's because I'm waiting for the answer. It is difficult to interact here. Because you got to, especially if you're on your phone, you got to try to type an entire message with your thumbs. Yeah. The look in my eyes. Oh, it's because I'm trying to stare at the camera. Because I have a hard time. I'm not used to cameras, especially not like an actual camera. I'm used to like a phone. So typically speaking with my phone, I look at the screen. And somebody pointed out, if you actually look at the camera in your phone, it'll make it look like you're looking right at us. And I'm like, oh. So it's a habit that I'm trying to get into. It's kind of weird. Oh, one thumb. Oh, the look in your eyes. I'm not sure. I haven't read it. I haven't seen a lot of science about it. So it's really hard for me to make a determination on something if I haven't seen a lot of science. You know, I tend to be more of a science nerd kind of guy. Matter of fact, I'm doing a mind thought, a mind experiment with people this week. I'm gonna do a Okay, you guys ready for this? Here we go. There's five people. You guys ready to hear this? Let's go. So, and of course, I'm gonna have to put it into like a very short video because attention span being what it is. But even though I'm an herbalist, I'm kind of a science nerd, right? So I'm really big into physics. I like physics and things like that. So I find it really fascinating. And so if you understand even like a little bit of physics, like what you may have caught in the news or something, so they're thinking, like with the quantum computing, they're thinking that it's more likely that there are parallel universes. So if you believe in the parallel universe theory, right? I believe in parallel universes theory, um, other dimensions. So okay, so you have quantum entanglement, which means that two bodies can be connected regardless of how far apart they are, right? You have remote viewing, which means you can see something that regardless of when it happened, where it happened. It could have been 10 million years ago on a different planet or a different galaxy, or it could have happened yesterday in your bedroom, or something like that. So, and there's been science for all of this stuff. Like remote viewing has tons of science on it. Quantum entanglement, all of these things, they've done some pretty consistent science with. So what if that's the case, and then there's been authors that like uh, he's not necessarily a scientist, but it makes sense if you believe in the infinite universe theory, which I do. The universe just kind of goes on and on and on. Anything you imagine is possible somewhere, right? So somewhere in time, whether it was in the past, present, or future, something that you imagined could happen, right? It's an infinite universe where anything is possible. So what if here's the big story. What if every movie you've ever seen, every book you've ever read, every story you've ever heard, what if they're all real in some universe and whoever created the story actually saw it happen, right? And they're just kind of writing down an edited version of what we watch and use and consume today, right? So that's if you use quantum entanglement and remote viewing and I don't know, I think it's possible. What if? And then the part that'll break your brain is if that's the case and if it's true, does that mean that somewhere in the universe at some point in time somewhere somebody's reading your story? You're the main character of a movie, book, or story. I mean, because if everything is possible and somebody remote viewed your life, you know, that's my thought. What if? Did I break anybody's brain? Hi, Jinjin. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. I'm surprised you forgave me. So here's Ginger. We don't get to see her very often. So just one of those. Both of them like to throw their tails on my face. What the heck? So that's just one of the thoughts. It's been on my brain for years, right? So what if if in an infinite universe anything is possible? Maybe you're seeing maybe somewhere long ago in a galaxy far, far away, all that stuff really did happen, or Harry Potter, or I mean, somewhere, or Die Hard, any of them at some point, somewhere in another universe, in this universe, at some point in time. Right. How do they get the vision from movies and stuff? So I think it'll be very thought provoking, right? At the very least, it should get some people's attention. And, I mean, unless they're an NPC. Because see, if somebody's reading your story, think about how many NPCs are in that book, right? If they're watching that movie, non-playable character, or maybe you're even the main character of a video game. You guys hear what Elon Musk did? He spent $40 million of his own money to buy 5 ads, advertising the waste being done by the government. I think that's funny. All the different lives we're experiencing. Says no, I think that too. All the many different lives we are experiencing at the same time. Right. And you got to think about this. Okay, so we've advanced as far as we have, and they say the humans have only been here on Earth for 100,000 years. And let's just use that as the basis, right? 100,000 years. If they claimed that the galaxy or the universe, the current universe, is 13.4 billion years old, how many civilizations could have existed over the course of that 13 billion years? Even if you take into account it took 4 billion years for life to start forming, okay? After 4 billion years, how many civilizations throughout that time could have come and gone, right? In the course of what, 9 billion years. So, and then how many are there going to be? And you can't, it's illogical to think that we're the only life in the universe. Right? And of course, you see things like back in the 70s or maybe the 80s when they sent the probe to Mars, they found organic matter on. They found organic matter and they reported on it, but there was no like big boohoo. We found, it's just organic matter. It's like organic implies life. And then recently, something about DNA on an asteroid. You know, so it's illogical to think, and it's actually quite quite arrogant to assume that, out of the trillions of planets that are out there, you're the only one with life on it. Trillions. The odds against that are astronomical. So that's just my thought. Like Prince worried about a song in the ethers that MJ pick up on. Right. Well, I mean, you got remote viewing, right? And if you don't know what it is, look it up. Look up remote viewing. Pat Price and Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff, all those guys were big. A movie that talked about remote viewing would have been Men Who Stare at Goats, which is one of my favorite movies. It's great. I love it. If you've never seen it, watch Men Who Stare at Goats. It's funny, but it's loosely based on a true story. So, because there really was a program like that. Hard to believe we were the only ones. Yeah, I agree. Out of trillions of planets, man, I find it unlikely. So what if at some point every movie you've ever seen or whatever has happened or is going to happen? Because with remote viewing, they did one of the things they determined. This was when the guy, I think, was with the CIA, I believe. They gave him a set of coordinates, and he looked them up, and apparently it was set back like a million years ago on Mars. And he saw like buildings and people that were gigantic and all sorts of stuff. So that's what he reported. And you can believe what you will. Maybe he made it up. I don't know. It could have been his imagination. But there were some guys that were like 70% accurate, which is like 7 out of 10 times they were right. It was proven that those guys helped solve the Patty Hearst case. Um, Patty Hearst was the infamous bank robber that got the Stockholm syndrome and ended up going with the bank robbers. And um, that happened back like in the 60s, I think. But they helped solve that case by using remote viewing. So, I mean, there's tons of documented science on remote viewing. CIA used it, Army used it, you know. And the way it all started was kind of funny. If you watch Men Who Stare at Goats, the way they put it made it, it doesn't, after you hear about all the waste that the government does, it doesn't surprise me. It's like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. But um, apparently back then, um, Greg Brayton, yeah, he's good. Yeah, Greg Brayton's pretty amazing. I used to have Gaia and a lot of the programs on, but after a while they got a little too far out there for me. So one of my favorite shows is the Pyramid Code. You can get, I think that's here on YouTube. Pyramid Code. They got the whole. It's like 5 episodes, but it's only like 3 hours. Um, but it talks about some of the different theories about the pyramids and all that. Greg talks about us being a soft computer vessel. Get a chip, lose control over your own divinity. Well, that kind of goes in with the whole transcendence thing, right? If we're made of energy, you're only confined by this because you want to be. In theory, you're only confined by this shell, if you want to look at it that way, this carbon and water shell. So they talk about transcendence, which is taking the energy that you have and just combining it with the universe. So you've already been outside. I'm not taking you back out again. Stop. That's Morpheus. He's wanting attention. He's being needy tonight. Yeah, Greg Braden. He's pretty interesting. He's got some good stuff. They call that pseudoscience too. It's so funny. They only call it pseudoscience when it doesn't agree with their narrative. Like they call herbal medicine pseudoscience. Like with the coursework. I got the syllabus done, and I was gonna post it today. I forgot. I'll get it posted tonight after I'm done with this live. I joke with my husband about how mainstream movies have so many spiritual messages. The cult of it is getting huge, right? Yeah, there was somebody last week that was um, asking about my spirituality because I'm not a Christian anymore. I used to be, like, I was Christian, like 15 years old. I was giving the Wednesday night sermons in my church, Christian, right? I was going to be a pastor at one point. Um, and my thoughts have evolved over the years, right? I don't necessarily look at my spirituality. I don't look at my spirituality at all the same way. If not even not necessarily. There is no correlation or comparison to how I look at my spirituality now. So, but somebody was asking me to explain it. And it's like, I don't know if I really want to do a video about that. I don't, Stop. I don't want to pet you right now. You already got a whole quesadilla. Then you got the salsa sour cream. Then there's Morpheus. He's a good boy. He's old. He's an old man. But he's pretty healthy. He gets herb stuff too. Probably should do a video about that too. Point out to people that herbal medicine works for pets too. I mean, it's not just for people. Joke is, it's not a joke if any. It's not a cold if anyone didn't get the joke. They do say that our minds, look at mob mentality, right? You get a bunch of people together, and it doesn't take long for everybody to get angry, just like it doesn't take long for everybody to get happy, right? But it all starts with just one or two people, and then it kind of spreads. It's like a virus almost, It's like an energy virus because it just kind of spreads that type of anger. So I mean, certainly makes sense. Everyone's perspective is so different. That's what makes it so awesome. I agree, right? And there's so many people that think you need to look at everything their way. It's like it's eye rolling. At that point, I just go, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you know, once they're done, whatever, you can go about your business. Anybody surprised about that? Herbal medicine works for your pets too. Pets, livestock. I don't know so much about insects or arachnids. I've never been that interested. But all right, I'm done petting you. I don't want to pet you anymore. No, I'm not petting you. My arm's tired. I know. No, my arm is tired. How do you say no to this? I mean, can you say no to that? How do you say no to that? He doesn't seem to care how tired my arm is. His arm isn't tired. What he does though is he gets lower and lower and lower, and then I have to get lower and lower and lower to pet him, and then finally I'm like half bent over in my chair just to be able to pet him. Hey, I'm sure he lays down because it feels good, but yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll do a small series on herbs for pets. Like right now, Ginger. I'm surprised Ginger's even coming around me. Stop. And now enough. I'm gonna send you out of here if you don't quit. Um, she has a bit of some congestion, so she's getting two regimens. So I've got two separate teas set up for her. She gets them as close together as I can. I don't want to just like give them a whole bunch, but they're fairly concentrated, and she's getting it like 3 or 4 times a day, and she's gotten to the point now I have to be somewhat careful. I don't want to use the same name, like when I call them, I'll say babies, but I'll say it loud and a little higher pitched, and then they'll both come running. But I can't say that if I'm giving her medicine because then she'll quit coming when I call her. So I have to catch her as she's running by. And but yeah, she's been getting one. She like the Love My Lungs herbal tonic. She's been getting that, and then the other one is a specific antiviral antibacterial blend to help get that out of her too. So she's kind of mad at me right now. Like right now, I have another syringe set up for her. So when she walks by, I want to snag her and give her another dose. Yeah, I make no friends with her when I do that kind of stuff, but she gets over it. She'll still end up coming up to the bed and snuggling with me tonight. So think about any crowd. That's the vibe dancing in a baseball game. It's all energy, right? Energy's contagious. So next week we're gonna do diabetes. We're gonna do herbs for diabetes. We're gonna talk about some diets for diabetes. There's been some really cool research on diabetes. Now, one of the studies that they don't seem to want to publish is that the seems like the carnivore diet. Now, everything that they're saying right now is anecdotal, even though it's been doctors doing it, right? Whatever. But they showed that the carnivore diet seems to be good for people with diabetes. Part of it is you're cutting out all the crap from your diet, you know. But I don't know. I don't know that I could do the carnivore diet. I like meat. Don't get me wrong. Bacon, steak, burgers, whatever. But I don't think I could just do it all the time because I also like vegetables. I like fruit. So I could tell that the carnivore diet's not one that I would enjoy for sure. I mean, if that's all I had to eat, then yeah, I'm going to do it. But luckily, I have alternatives. So now I'm surrounded by animals. I can't even get out of here now. I'm stuck in this little cubby that I have here. Tomorrow's video we posted will be spices for bad breath. And there's some spices that most people have in their cabinet if they use spices. That a lot of people have in their cabinet that can help with bad breath, and garlic is not one of them. but but there are some spices. So I think I listed six, maybe. I think I did six spices for bad breath, and then gave like a little basic nugget of information. This is a kind of a real quick how-to. Then the patrons will get a different video. They'll get that video, and then they'll get the video that'll give a little bit more description, a couple recipes, different ways to use the spices for that. and I think you guys will probably like it. I mean, because even if you don't have bad breath, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have to kind of help just rinse things out and get things going. So, though there's two of them there, man. I don't know that I can do them. I'm not a huge fan of clove, and one of the other spices I'm definitely not a huge fan of, like at all. But even though I don't necessarily like the taste of it, if it's gonna help my bad breath, if I have bad breath, and that's all I have, I suppose I would reluctantly. But any other thoughts on what I can do with kitchen combat, real quick, before we call it a night? Any other thoughts? What could we do for kitchen combat? Because so far I've done heart stuff. I've done heavy metal cleanse. Covered parsley. I've done bad breath. I made the pineapple skin fermentation water. It seemed to work. Tasted good after a week of sitting in the counter. Fermented pineapple. That sounds interesting. I'm doing fermented strawberries right now. Let me show you. Move, Morpheus. Move. Go on. Get. I'll be right back. It'll only take a second. Just be patient. Keep moving. Go, go, go. Get out of the way, ding dong. Killing me, dude. Okay, so here's what I did. Most of you know, if you've been following for a minute, you know that I made apple cider vinegar. So here's my apple cider vinegar. You can see the mother has formed. And let me see if I can get a good picture of it here with the camera. You can see, look, that's the mother. So the apple cider vinegar is almost ready. Right now it still smells like apple beer. It really smells like apple beer. But give it about another week and this will be apple cider vinegar. It's not quite as yellow as other apple cider vinegar, right? And I don't know what that's all about. It's kind of cool that's the mother though. Initially I was worried that it was fungus. Okay, so now so that's the apple cider vinegar. I decided to do the same thing with strawberries. I know you can't tell, but this is actually very, very red. The color on this is a little off, and it smells amazing. But I'm trying to ferment them, like, and so far so good. Anything for our gut health since our gut. Okay, just um, apple cider vinegar is great for your gut, especially if it's fermented like that. Any fermented food is great for your gut. Eat lots of vegetables and fruit. Kombucha is good. The unprocessed yogurt, so like Greek yogurt that hasn't been ran through the ringer, that's good for you. I guess now it'll be a lot easier for you to get raw milk. That's going to have some pro enzymes and stuff that are going to be great for your gut. And it's fermenting. It's bubbling right now since I moved it. Because I was using strawberries and I had to keep everything to the top. I was unable to just use strawberries, so I took like 5 slices of apple and put on top of the strawberries so I could hold all the strawberries down. However, I got the impression that maybe I have too much liquid in there. I might have to pull some of that liquid out. It seems like it's bubbling too much. So I eat garlic every day. My wife doesn't like it too well. Garlic's good for you. It's a good heart herb. It's antiviral. Um, Boy, it's really bubbling now. The strawberries. So that means at some point they'll smell like they'll ferment all the way. I added some sugar to it to make it sweeter, and I did that specifically to see if I could get it to ferment. I'm not going to turn it into a vinegar. So I have a different purpose in mind for it. But now apparently I have to go get some of the liquid out of it. But so I'll do spices for gut health, and then I'll probably do some herbs for gut health, and um, we'll get that going. I do a lot of stuff for digestion. So if you go down my timeline and look at, there's tons of herbs down there on how to fix your gut. So though I do see that there's a lot of people asking for that. I'm gonna have to probably get rid of the word digestion and put gut, because people don't normally they don't associate the two, digestion and gut. It's the same thing, right? Right. Your gut is your digestive system, but they do the search for gut, and if I keep putting stuff for digestion, I kind of miss the mark. So, so my future videos, I'll be sure to include gut so you can catch them. I did. I put like a quarter cup of sugar. And since I moved it, the thing is bubbling right now because there's so much, all the gas and stuff is escaping. So yeah, I added a quarter cup of sugar to the water, and like with the apples, I didn't add any sugar at all. With the apples, I left it just like it was, and then because you want that sugar to turn into the acid, so that way it's a cider vinegar. Whereas with this one, I'm not gonna let it turn into the acid. Once it's done, I'll strain it out. I'll add more sugar, let it set for 2 or 3 days. I'll bottle it, and then I'll pop them in the fridge. And by putting them in the refrigerator, it'll actually carbonate them. So it'll be more like a fermented strawberry pop is really what it's, in theory, it's what it'll turn into. So, and I did a half a gallon. So, do I know anything about the texture of fingernails and our health? Yeah, actually, that is pretty relevant. Like if you can probably, like my thumbnail, it's got a divot in it. If you have divot in it, that means you were lacking some nutrients. The lines are also relevant. If you get the white lines across, like the white dots, luckily I don't have any of those, but if you get like the white dots in the pads, that means you're usually deficient in calcium. But yeah, I know a little bit about that. I'm not like a super big doctor on it, but yeah, I know that your nail health is relevant. Like if you start lacking nutrition, if you notice you have lines across that go across, those are formed from a lack of nutrition, lack of mineral deficiencies, and things like that. So yeah, nail health is relevant. I think it's burping so much. I'm gonna have to open it up. I don't really want to open it up, but I'm gonna have to, just so I can get the fluid out. There's too much in there. So next week, 7 p.m., we'll do diabetes. We might have a few more people in. We cover herbs for diabetes. We will. I'll probably come up with a recipe, maybe one recipe, one blend. We'll see. We'll see what happens. If I do, it'll be in the description. I will post it Saturday night. It's going to show that it's scheduled for Saturday night. So the 5 or 6 of you that are watching, feel free, if you're subscribed, to put a notification on the live on Saturday. That way, when I get ready to go live on Sunday, it'll let you know. And that seems to be the only way they're going to let you know. Otherwise, even if you just do the blue bell, you might just have to actually go. I'll have it set up. It'll say coming up, and then you can just hit on it and say, notify me. And that way it'll let people know that there's people waiting. It'll let me know that there's people waiting to watch it. So now this whole room smells like strawberry. Now I'm hungry. That means it should be done by next week. It should be ready. I can strain it. Well, it won't be ready by next week. By next weekend, I can strain it, and then it'll sit on the counter for a day or two. I appreciate you, Mitchell. Mitchell, if you want to, you can pop over to Patreon and see the bad breath video on right now. It's already posted. So I try to do that. I'm going to start posting. I'm going to try to start posting more of the normal content on Patreon as well. But right now it's for paid members only, or for members only, one of the two. And then tomorrow, after I post it on my other social media, then I'll change the status of it and it'll be for the public. So it'll be free eventually, but it'll always be for the patrons first. So they get kind of a preview of what it's going to be. But and then yeah, it's not quite 8 o'clock yet. So I'll try to get the syllabus posted tonight too. So for those of you that are going to be joining into the herb course, it's going to be the syllabus that'll tell you what to expect. This is going to take several weeks. It's not going to be like a 1 or 2 day course. We're looking at maybe 2 or 3 months of weekly courses. breaking things down. The first section of it will probably be a little boring. We're going to talk about the history of it, the bare basics history, and then but I'm also going to be breaking down the different types of herbs. So that one will probably take about an hour, and and then it's going to get more detailed from there. So if you go, the syllabus will be posted for the public. Anybody can see the syllabus, so that way they have an opportunity to get a good look of what the natural or the herbal medicine part of the course is going to be anyway. So for those of you who are not patrons, feel free to pop over to patreon.com/the herb guy. I think the link is here in my bio. I think my link tree is here. Um, and the herbal medicine course is only going to be available for $3 members. It'll be posted live. It's either going to be the 18th or the 25th. It just depends. It's looking likely that it'll be the 25th, Tuesday the 25th is when it'll be posted. But even if you don't catch it live, that's fine. It'll be recorded. So the whole course is still going to be available. Just if you see it live, you'll be able to ask questions live, right? And if you missed the live, well, you'll still have an opportunity to leave a comment, and then I can get back to you through the comment. You just won't have the opportunity to see it live. But the herb course is still available, whether you see it live or not. I'm just doing it live so that way people who have questions can ask while we're going over that course. A day or two before we start, I will be posting out the paper part of the coursework, so you have an opportunity to peruse that before the course starts Tuesday. So like Sunday night, I'll post it, and on Tuesday night, Saturday or Sunday night, I'll post it, and then Tuesday night you'll have it ready, so that way you've been able to look through it, and we'll kind of cover it. So I'm sure I'll talk about some different things than what's on that, but for the most part, I'll definitely stay on topic. If you show up late, don't come in late and go, oh hey, I'm late. If you're late, you're late, right? You don't need to let everybody know that you didn't make it on time or whatever, because it kind of disrupts the flow. So if you're late, just kind of be late, if that makes sense. But yeah, definitely have to fix that. It's gonna leak all over everything. So that's where we're at. Sunday night, next Sunday night. If you guys are gonna watch the game, I know what you're lacking. I don't know. You have to look it up. I don't have all of that stuff right here right now. And oftentimes, like the white is typically calcium. The other is just basic nutrients, right? Your body it requires specific kinds of nutrients. If you're not feeding your body right, right? What game? I want to see those 5 ads though. That I want to see. So I'll just wait for them to come out and I'll watch them later on X. But and I'm gonna try to. I've been trying to do it all week. I'm gonna try to get over to my wheresciencemeetsnature.com website. That's where I have my merchandise. My merchandise is very limited right now, but I got some great new ideas for some merchandise that's coming out, so you guys might be excited about that. But yeah, before this thing makes a mess all over my office, it's bubbling everywhere. I'll show you. It's bubbling everywhere. It's not supposed to have that much fluid coming out. So apparently I put too much water in there. But I gotta go take care of my mess. And then next Sunday we will talk about bring your diabetes questions next week, because it should be a fun one. What number 2 leading cause in the United States? So pretty big topic. There should be a lot of people. If you know somebody who's diabetic and wants to learn some maybe natural or alternative options to do so, invite them along so they can come in and ask some questions. But God, we were live almost an hour. I didn't really get much said. All right. There we go. All right. So we will be back next week, 7 p.m. You guys have a good night. Thanks for watching.